What's happening, y'all? I'm 𝓢𝓠𝓤𝓐𝓏, and today I've got a Solar Hunter build that outputs insane amounts of damage to bosses and clears adds easily. Before we get into the build though, I just want to give a huge thanks to all the support that you guys gave me on the Titan build that I uploaded before. If you have not seen that or would like to skip right to it, I will leave a card at the end of the video and a link to the video in the description. I appreciate all of you, you're all absolute legends, and without further ado, let's get into the Hunter build. Starting off with our primary weapon here, I'm personally using the Riptide Fusion Rifle. It is the only primary legendary fusion rifle that I have. I use it to dispatch the tankier adds a little quicker than if I were to use a primary. I run Frenzy, Steady Hands, Liquid Coils, and Full Bore for my role. You can use whatever you'd like in this primary slot. I personally like to use something that hits a little harder for the tankier adds. For my secondary slot, I have a Callus mini tool with Incandescent, Grave Robber, Accurized Rounds, and Chambered Compensator. I have yet to get the last red bordered Callus mini tool so I can craft the god roll I'd like. Instead of Grave Robber, I'd rather have Unrelenting for health regeneration and survivability, but Grave Robber is also not too bad. You can use whatever you'd like in this slot as well. I use the Callus mini tool because it is solar. And for my heavy slot, I'm using the Lament Exotic Sword. This thing is a monster. An absolute monster now that Solar 3.0 is out. It also has shield piercing for all of its heavy and special attacks, so it definitely increases the DPS output towards single target, like bosses, tankier adds, etc. You can use whatever you'd like in this slot. If it comes to match game activities and you're playing solo, I recommend switching the Lament out for maybe a Storm Chaser or any other legendary linear fusion rifle or a rocket launcher, and then throw on the Arbalest in the primary slot to deal with all those shields. Now onto our helmet. I have a mobility mod, sword ammo finder, because in higher activities, heavy ammo is kind of hard to come by. If you want to, you can switch this out for hands-on instead. That way you get your super back really quickly from the throwing knife kills that you'll be getting. I also have harmonic siphon here to make sure we create orbs of power, using a solar weapon to get rapid kills. And I also have Radiant Light, due to the fact that its secondary bonus gives you plus 20 strength. You can switch this out for whatever mod you'd like. You can put a well mod in here, but I just like having the nice high strength to get my throwing knives back when I use them and they don't kill something instantly right off the bat. Onto our gauntlets. I have a mobility mod in here. These two slots you can adjust however you'd like for whichever activities you're playing. And an important mod here is Melee Well Maker, so that way we can generate solar wells when we use our throwing knives and get throwing knife kills. And to our chest piece, we have another mobility mod, Armor of the Dying Star, for a little bit of extra tankiness against solar and void damage. We have arc resistance in here, and that is due to the fact that we have Powerful Friends. We use Powerful Friends for the secondary 20 mobility right there. Super important for us because we want to be over 100 mobility on this build to get our dodge back as soon as possible. And for our legs, which is also our exotic of choice, we have a mobility mod, a smaller mod, a sword scavenger mod, so that way we get more heavy ammo when we pick up the heavy bricks for our sword, and we have Font of Might. This is why we generate the solar wells, so we can get a 25% damage bonus to our solar weapons for 10 seconds. Feast of Light here is our talent. You gain additional super energy from the orbs of power we generate, so any orbs of power we generate or our team generates, we'll get additional super energy for them. That is why we also have the harmonic siphon in our helmet, so we can generate our own orbs at will. When our super energy is full, picking up an orb of power will overcharge our super, and that gets us a burst of healing when casting our super and a bonus to our super damage. At maximum overcharge, we also gain an overshield when casting our super. So this is super important. We want to make sure we charge up our Feast of Light stacks. The max stack is ×8. I'm unsure what that translates to percentage-wise when it comes to the super damage. All I know is ×8 gives you an insane increase to your super damage. And on our cloak, I have a minor resilience mod here. Utility Kickstart. This is super important. Make sure you have your utility Kickstart in here, so that way we have a little bit of class ability energy after using our class ability. This will help us generate our class ability faster, and this is the reason why we want our class ability super fast, is because we have Classy Restoration here, when we activate our solar class ability, it gives us ×2 restoration, meaning our health regen is going to be pretty insane for about, say, 8 to 10 seconds. We have elemental charge in here because there was 2 more energy slots that I had to take out. You can switch this out for, say, elemental armaments. This would probably be a better choice to start generating wells a little bit more frequently. If you have a artificer class item, definitely put in 2 utility kickstarts, take this out, and then have your classy restoration and your minor mod, because 2 of your ability kickstarts will be able to let you chain your class abilities back to back when the cooldown is done. So that way you never run out of classy restoration at all. You'll have ×2 restoration up all of the time. Alrighty, into our subclass here. We are using Blade Barrage because the Feast of Light stacks at max, and Blade Barrage right now is the highest DPS super in the game. It does stupid amounts of damage. It is insane. Definitely Blade Barrage when you're using Stargazer Scales. We have Marksman's Dodge instead of Gambler's Dodge or Acrobat's Dodge, due to the fact that Marksman's Dodge has the lowest base cooldown out of all dodges. So that way we can chain them back to back and keep classy restoration up permanently all of the time. Obviously we're using triple jump. Our throwing knife of choice is Knife Trick because it scorches the targets on hit, and killing scorched targets will give us our knife cooldown back ASAP. I'm also running a Healing Grenade because I do not have 2 utility kickstart mods in my class item. The Healing Grenade is going to compensate for when I lose classy restorations healing for a few seconds before my class ability is recharged. This Healing Grenade really helps. You can use a damage grenade if you'd like, a grenade to scorch targets, or just cause DPS. It's up to you. I personally like Healing Grenade for the harder content that I play. And to our aspects, I'm running On Your Mark due to the fact that it gives you the 3 fragment slots. Precision Final Blows grant us and nearby allies increased weapon handling, reload speed for a short duration, stacking 3 times. Super, super useful. As long as you keep getting your precision hits, you'll have increased reload speed, increasing your damage per second. That is, who doesn't want more DPS? Then we have Knock 'em Down. Super important to run Knock 'em Down due to the fact that it enhances our solar super, which is Blade Barrage. It gives us more projectiles, approximately 5 more projectiles, and it has 2 fragment slots. And when we are radiant, if we get kills with our throwing knife, it fully refunds the throwing knife so we can use it once again. Moving on to our fragments, we have Ember of Torches, where our powered melee attack against combatants will make us and nearby allies radiant. Radiant is a 25% weapon damage buff, generally to all weapons. So definitely important here to keep our radiant up, keep our DPS high. We have Ember of Searing, so defeating their scorched targets will grant us melee energy. It also gives +10 recovery, which is nice. Ember of Singeing, our class ability recharges faster when we scorch targets. Once again, we'll be constantly scorching targets with Incandescent on the Callus Mini Tool, or whatever other solar weapon that you have that has Incandescent. You're constantly scorching targets, meaning your class ability will recharge extremely quickly. We also have Ember of Wonder. Rapidly defeating multiple targets with solar ignitions generates an orb of power. And for our last fragment, we have Ember of Solace. Radiant and restoration effects applied to us have increased duration. So we get 25% weapon damage. We have it for longer. We have ×2 restoration from classy restoration. We have that for longer. The reason why I'm not using Ember of Empyrean is because it takes away 10 resilience and puts us under the 100 resilience mark. Unfortunately, my gear is not rolled to where I can have infinite amounts of resilience, so Ember of Solace is just fine since we'll be chaining Radiant and Restoration back to back constantly. We don't need to have Ember of Empyrean. As for our stat spread, we have 100 mobility to increase our cooldown on our class ability, and it gives you a nice boost to your base speed. 100 resilience, that way we have 40% damage reduction against targets in PvE and reduce the amount of damage we take when breaking out of stasis, which is really nice depending on if we go up against stasis targets. 30 recovery, this I would like to be higher, but it's not super important since classy restoration will be doing the health regen for us. We don't have to worry about it. I have 52 discipline. I would like this to also be higher, but 52 is not terrible. It's okay, brings us under a minute cooldown. Intellect, not super important since we'll be generating a lot of orbs of power and getting our super back very quickly. Intellect isn't really needed on this build. And we have 90 strength, just in case we use our throwing knife and we don't kill a target immediately. This helps with the cooldown stacking that we have, gives us a nice short cooldown on the throwing knife so we can have it back up and have Radiant available to us all the time. And that's the build, guys. Comment down below if there's anything that you would personally change for your own style of the build, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in and taking your time out of your day to watch this video. Thank you guys for watching. Take care and have a wonderful day.